October the 6th, 2017, the Trump administration made moves to roll back on Obama-era policies that require employer health plans to pay for birth control. This new rule permits that all employers to opt out of birth control. This was a direct aim at birth control coverage for more than 62 million American women. The administration has been chipping away at the contraceptive mandates in the Affordable Care Act. People are not also taking in consideration, women are not just using birth control nowadays just for contraceptive methods to keep them from becoming pregnant, but many times women are using birth control as a method of helping with fibroids, irregular periods, to name a few things. We as women need to take a stand and advocate for our reproductive justice and health, and say to the administration that they have no business telling us what to do with our birth control or our reproductive health.
My birth control is not your business. And here tonight to talk a little bit about her birth control and it not being anybody's business is Taylor Edmond.
Hello.
So Taylor, can you tell us a little bit about yourself?
22 years old, currently live in South Gate. I have a 2-year-old daughter. I work as a CNA. I just finished the CS Tech program, but my plan is to start LPN school in the fall. In my leisure time, I enjoy shopping, spending time with my daughter, traveling, that type of thing.
Well, that sounds great. And that's wonderful you got a 2-year-old daughter. So what age were you when you decided you were going to look to get put on birth control?
Well, I was 16.
And how was that experience?
Starting out, I was real nervous, just based off of everybody's opinions, and you scroll down social media, and everybody got a horror story from birth control, so it was a little nervous, and just trying to decide which one was the best for me.
So when you did actually go in, did your healthcare provider kind of go over some of the birth control methods that are available right now for women?
Yes, my provider did. And the provider, they asked me, like, what did I want out the birth control? Like, so that's kind of, we went over the options and I felt which one was best for me. We chose from there. But they were very supportive.
And another thing, when you did go and look for birth control, did you tell them, like, you said you told them what you were looking for? I know with the pill, you got to take that every day.
Exactly.
So what was better for you? What ended up being the best method for you?
I ended up getting a Depo shot.
Okay.
That you had to get every 3 months. It was really something that the doctor and me said give it a try, and we'll see how it goes, because the birth control pills I couldn't take due to family history.
Okay.
And so the next option was the shot. So we gave it a try, and yeah.
So when you came in, also, did your healthcare provider go through a sexual assessment with you prior to putting you on birth control pills?
Yes.
Okay.
And
what did that kind of look like, if you remember?
He had asked me, like, when did I lose my virginity? How many sexual partners I had? That type of questions.
Okay. And now that you do go in and you're seeing your doctor more on a regular basis, especially since you're on birth control and stuff, do they offer you to be tested for HIV and STD, or is that something that you have to ask your provider?
Well, I've been to 2 providers. My first provider, it was asked.
Okay.
Then the second one, I had to request.
Okay. And how often do you find that you're requesting with the new provider?
It feels like every time I go to my appointment, every time I go get my shot, I request it.
Okay. It's not something
that's asked.
Okay.
Like my first provider did.
Okay. Now, have you ever asked he or she why she doesn't see if that's something you want to do?
No, I never asked.
Okay. Because honestly, you should be getting tested every time you go in for like a physical, your annual, or at least every 6 months.
Maybe that's maybe that's what she felt because it wasn't an annual checkup. Because all I would go for is just my shot. So
Okay.
maybe because she felt like it wasn't an annual checkup, she didn't need to really ask. But I feel like if you sexually active and you're on birth control, and then like me, you gotta go every 3 months, you might as well get tested when you go.
Right.
Why not?
Well, that's a good idea, and I think it's a good practice to stay in that habit of doing that, because then you're always aware of what's going on with your body, and
Exactly.
you know. So with do you feel like birth control is accessible for everyone that would like to be on birth control? Okay, you
I
do.
think so.
Why do you feel that it is?
It's offered everywhere. It's like you got Planned Parenthood, you got the Corner Health Center. Like you have places to go to, and they're willing to help people that don't have insurance,
Okay.
people that are low income. Some services you can get for free.
Okay.
So I do feel like it is accessible.
But do you think that in social media, just in your for your generation, do you feel like they truly push the accessibility of birth control?
No, you gotta search for it. You
Okay.
gotta know your resources.
Especially like you saying that, you know, sometimes if you don't have insurance, that they can help you with that. And to me, especially with, and it kind of feeds into the next question I was going to ask you, as far as our government having and trying to dictate to female about their reproductive health. Do you feel because they're constantly trying to make cuts from prevention that you think that might be the overtone why they're not pushing birth control like they should?
It might be. You will never know.
This is
It
true.
could be that. And like you said, social media, especially in my generation, don't push it. It's like it's accessible, but you gotta know the resources. Like you gotta know where you gotta go. Instead of, and if you don't, if it's not being advertised, then
People are not going to
people
go.
are not gonna go. They're not gonna know.
So now that I know over the last couple of years, it's been a big push for many people to get on PrEP, and not just for men who are having sex with men or the trans women population. Is that a conversation that your healthcare provider has had with you about PrEP?
No,
Do you know what PrEP is?
no,
You
I
don't.
don't know what purpose.
Okay, so PrEP is a pre-exposure prophylactic medication that you can actually take. It's just like birth control, except it prevents you from being exposed to HIV. So what happens is, like with birth control pills, is a prevention type medication, and you take it once a day, same time a day, and you have to let it build up in your system. For men, since most if they're having sex with other men, it takes about 7 days for it to build up into the anal tissues. For women, it takes about 21 days for it to build up in our vaginal tissues for us to be fully protected.
Mm-hmm.
And it just like you have to go back every 3 months to get your shots or whatever. It's the same thing with PrEP. You have to go back every 3 months. They draw labs. They check you to make sure that you haven't and nothing has changed and stuff. You get another script. They also give you an HIV/STD prevention test at that time to test to make sure you don't have anything. Because the only thing with it, it only protects you from being exposed from HIV. Like STD or pregnancy, it's not going to prevent any of that. So you still have to use other methods in place. Whether it be condoms, your depot shots, or like an IUD. So you still have to have those in place. The only thing is, if you decide to go and you're going to use it, I would definitely go somewhere where they have a PrEP navigator, because the pill itself can be very expensive. It's over $1,800 a month, and some insurances do not cover it, or if they cover it, they don't cover the whole cost. So with the navigators, what they can do is assist you with getting some of that either paid off or get co-pays to co-pay paid cards from like Gilead to pay for the cost that isn't covered by your insurance. But to me, I think that medication really has not been pushed with women, and I know over the last couple of years they really have been pushing it, but a lot of people still are not aware about the medication.
Exactly. And healthcare providers, they don't inform you on those things. This is my first time hearing that pill.
Really? On average, how long do they take to go over all the stuff with you, like your sexual health assessments and stuff like that?
Probably about 20 minutes.
They take a good 20 minutes.
Yeah.
So the next time you go back, when you do your 3 months again, just ask them, what is PrEP, and see what their response is and how educated they are about it. And I would even ask them, who do they look at as far as pushing to get on that medication? Because those would be my 2 questions I ask the next time you go back.
I'm definitely going to ask.
Okay. So overall, has your experience been good with obtaining birth control with insurance, with and without insurance?
I've
Okay.
experienced both. I, with insurance, I just went to a regular health, clinic and had an appointment with U of M, and everything was covered. I didn't have to pay, not even a copay out of pocket for my birth control and even my STD testing.
Okay.
And I went to the Corner Health Center because they help people with low income or no income and no insurance. And I didn't have insurance at the time when I went to the Corner Health Center. And they provided me still the same service as if I went to anywhere else.
Okay.
And I was able to get my birth control and do my STD testing all without no insurance.
Okay. Now, that's a good thing, but once again, if somebody doesn't know that, then they may opt out and trying to go because they may not want to bill.
Exactly.
So you keep mentioning the Corner Health Center. Now, where's the Corner Health Center located?
It's downtown Ypsilanti.
Okay.
It's right on the corner. Where's that street? Right when you get off of 94, if you keep coming down that street to go downtown, it'll be right there on your left-hand side, right on the corner. And they provide healthcare services if you need therapy. They do STD testing, birth control. If you need assistance with transportation, housing, they provide food. They have a pantry with clothing.
Okay.
And the Corner Health Center, they are there to help young people my age, between 16 to like 24.
Okay.
And they'll help you. They will help you. You need to get on WIC, they'll help you.
So
You get Medicaid, they'll help you get that. Like, they're a good resource.
Okay.
And if you need to be seen for services and you don't have no insurance or no money, they'll either reduce the fee or you won't get charged at all. Because they want to make sure people, are being seen and their health is in good standing,
Now, are they affiliated with any of the hospitals in the area?
U of M in St. Joe.
Oh, okay.
I went there for my whole prenatal care, and it was amazing. I had decided to have my daughter at U of M. Yeah. I decided to have my daughter at U of M, and at U of M, nurse practitioner seen me there, and we came on my whole birth plan and everything. So by the time I went into labor, they knew everything, my whole birth plan, everything was together thanks to the Corner Health Center. Oh yeah, I definitely recommend them.
And I think that's really important that, especially for young teens, if they don't have that support system at home, that they're aware of where they can go get help like that in their community. I know by me working in Detroit for our local health department there, we have our I Decide clinic, and our teens can go there in the area, and that's at the Bustle Family Center on Kircherville. So, any final thoughts that you're thinking about for anybody who's going to be trying to get on birth control for the first time that was a teenager? Can you give any final thoughts on that?
It's just deciding on what birth control is best for you, and don't pay attention to the opinions of others online. Birth control does come with side effects just like any other medication that we take. So don't let that steer you away from it. Like, everybody's body is different, so you just go to the doctors, talk to the doctors on what birth control you need to take. You can take, multiple birth controls if you need to. Not at once, but you know, you can switch it up. If one don't work, go to the next one. And just because one birth control didn't work for one person, that don't mean it's not one out there that work for you.
And then, what is your advice about navigating with health insurance?
What you mean?
As far as with, like, say if I don't have insurance, so what would be your advice for a young girl who may feel like that's going to be a barrier with getting on to birth control?
Well, apply for Medicaid. I mean, you can get health insurance through the state. If you have a full-time job with benefits, see if you can tap into your insurance there. If you're under 26, you know, see if one of your parents can put you on their insurance. But like I said, if you don't have insurance, Corner Health Center is a good place to go.
And that's the thing. Another thing I would definitely advise, find out what type of teen programs, because a lot of times they don't just go up to like 21. A lot of times they'll take young adults that, you know, if they're in college and they're like still under 30, a lot of these places will still take you. So I would definitely tap into those type of places, because a lot of times they do a sliding scale with your payments, or may not even ask you for anything.
Exactly. Yes, that is so true.
So anything else you want to leave with the people today?
My birth control is my birth control. Is nobody's business. And your birth control is yours. So don't let nobody, you know, steer you away from it if it's something that you would want to be on. It's nothing wrong with it.
And I will say, we all need to advocate too, and with a lot of the changes that are going on with our prevention, and especially with Planned Parenthood, that as women we need to start getting out and advocating and making sure that these changes aren't going to be impacting for us, that it also cuts whatever care that we receive. Because our president right now, he does want to make big cuts where he's going to try to eliminate Planned Parenthood. So we need to get out and advocate to make sure that these changes do not happen. And those are my final thoughts for today. If you guys are interested in being on the show, just inbox me. If you got a topic that you want to hear about, just inbox me. Also, you can find the TC2 Traveling Coach Convo series on YouTube. Please subscribe to it so you can get to see what the latest videos are for the week. And that's it. And thank you, Taylor, for being on the show tonight.
Oh, thank you for having me.
You're welcome.
You guys have a good night.